The backlog is real. Whether you're playing on Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, or Steam. And mine has gotten out of hand. I have no self-control, and when I see a deal, I have to grab it. Come with me as I finally tackle my backlog, gaining control one game at a time.
Because it is my guilt, I claim you, grievous miracle. Make my chest hurt with regret. Forge your punishment and nail it deep. Shape my guilt once again.
The fuck?
This game is nuts. There's nothing I love more than a good Metroidvania. There's something special to me about just being able to wander around and figure out what to do based on the current set of abilities and items I have at my disposal, and then being able to rethink and revisit the areas and the new abilities that I find later in the game, and how that will unlock a new section to explore or a secret that I can find. Take that style of world and level design, marry it with pseudo-Catholic imagery with a Gothic flair and Souls-like gameplay on a 2D plane, and what do you get? You get one of the most visually stylized and sometimes disturbing games I've played in recent memory. This game has sat on my backlog pretty much since it came out in 2019. I think that's because I struggled with the difficulty in the beginning and just got frustrated and put it down, while my brother kept hammering away and would regale me with stories of the creepy weird stuff he would see, and it would always interest me. I have always had an interest in Catholicism. I grew up Catholic.
At least until I reached the age of reason.
Though I am not a pious person, I have always maintained an interest in the religion, kind of like how someone would with Greek or Norse mythology. So this past year, I finally decided to dive back in and start fresh with Blasphemous, and I have to say, it's an absolute trip of a game. You play as the penitent one in the plague-stricken land of Custodia. You take charge of the Mea Culpa blade and set forth on your pilgrimage to reach the Cradle of Affliction. Along the way, you meet a variety of different characters, all on their own pilgrimage and with their own afflictions to bear. Maybe Custodia needs a new religious symbol to worship. Maybe one that just won't punish them as much.
Christ didn't come to earth to give us the willies. He came to help us out. He was a booster. And it's with that take on our Lord in mind that we've come up with a new, more inspiring sigil. So, it is with great pleasure that I present you with the first of many revamps the Catholicism WoW campaign will unveil over the next year. I give you the Buddy Christ.
The story in the game is primarily told through the world building and lore descriptions you collect as you travel and explore the world. Having the story tied so well to what's going on and what you see around you really helped me get immersed and interested in the story. I always wanted to press forward and see what messed up things I would see next. This is a 2D Metroidvania game with a really beautiful and often horrific art style. Every screen has something interesting to look at, and the pixel art style helps lend itself to an ageless look. What I love most about the art style is the enemy and boss designs. Everything just looks insanely gory and detailed, and everybody's got their own little quirks about them, and you can tell by looking at them what their punishment from the greater will was. Take these people, for example. Some of the first enemies in the game that you'll run into, they're these women who were tied to a cross-shaped stone, and they use that as their weapon to fight you. And all of the killing animations and death animations look so insanely detailed. Like they went over this game with a fine-tooth comb, and they wanted everything to look as best as it could. It's a large world with a great sense of diverse locations to get lost in. From a religious temple in the mountains to poisonous catacombs underground, this world ticks all the boxes we have become used to seeing in most Metroidvania-style games. For me, it was a blast to explore, solve puzzles, and survive against a variety of lethal enemies packed into each area. As I said earlier, I love the style of the world, and I love the sense of Gothic-Horror that the world has been built around. Since this is a Souls-like 2D action platformer, I always felt a sense of dread as I got low on health and knew the next screen over could potentially be my end. The entire game revolves around two things: sword-based combat and traversal via platforming. Blasphemous has the gameplay elements boiled down to its core. There's nothing superfluous in this game in how it works. You get one weapon, the gnarly Mea Culpa blade, and some magic attacks, and that's it. You have a rosary that you find different beads for that all do different things, and your sword has a socket that lets you place a special attack rune. The combat is heavily timing based. You either need to get the drop on your enemy or parry their attack, which I suck pretty hard at. And if you don't, there's a high chance that you will get one shot or two shotted by the enemies in the world. And since this is a Souls-like game, when you die, you go back to the last save point you rested at, and all of the enemies respawn. And if you fail to reach the last spot you died, you will lose all of your accrued experience points. So pretty much what we're all used to. But there's a good sense of risk and reward, which is needed to keep this style of game from getting old after a while. I spent 33 hours with Blasphemous, and in the end, I was pretty satisfied with the journey. I should clarify that I played the game after all the DLCs were released, and I did know about a couple of side quests that help you reach a better ending. I'm a little on the fence about going through a New Game Plus, and I think that's because after I beat the game, I realized I missed one important interaction that would unlock the best ending, so I looked it up on YouTube and left it at that. I'd say if you have this game buried in your backlog, I think it's worth dusting off and starting your pilgrimage of penance, especially if you're interested in the sequel. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and comment. And if you didn't like the video, tell me why in the comments below. And stay tuned for more videos that I make. I have a lot of games trapped on my backlog, and I'm looking forward to exploring them with you all. Thank you.